Hello there, friends. I'm Scott Wakefield, and I am here today with
Samuel Schubert.
And we are going to have a coffee convo.
That's
Nicely
great.
done. Well done. Coffee Convos is an opportunity to have some good coffee with some good friends and some good conversation. So we're going to hear about the work of God in the life of Samuel Schubert and hear all about his cars.
Yep. Sounds good. There's a lot to talk about there.
There is. But I would have you know that we already have at least 12 to 15 questions submitted.
Wow.
About a third of which are about cars.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll get to that soon.
Talk for an hour and a half on this tonight.
We're going to go about 40, 45 minutes, and that's about it. So tell us, Samuel Schubert, who are you and where do you come from? And give us some life history and family origin info.
As you said, I'm Samuel Schubert. I was born in North Carolina, lived there for a couple years, then we moved to Illinois. Stayed there for 6 or 7 years, then we came here.
That sounds right, yeah.
The moving followed my dad's job, and when we got here, I really enjoyed it here. I consider this the place where I've grown up because I got here in second grade and went through elementary, middle, and high school here.
Mm-hmm. You are now in college?
Yep.
You are a collegian.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means yet?
Kinda, not really.
Okay. Right.
I would say yes.
Maybe haven't covered that.
No, not quite. Yeah, and then my family started coming here probably a month or so into after moving here.
Mm-hmm.
We visited a church in town or two. Didn't really like one of them, and so we started coming here, and the pastor was just amazing here, so we started
tell us more about that.
Yeah.
Unpack that.
Yeah, he wore a suit every day. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Wow. It was the inspirational messages.
Yep.
Probably his clothing and attire.
Yeah, and the sermons. I think we came in right when you were doing your Revelation series.
Oh, really?
I think that was right when we came in. So
that was cool. We had a huge painting in the background for that.
I don't remember the painting.
No? That's pretty cool. So you have how many siblings?
5 siblings.
Yes, you do.
Older brother, a younger brother, and 3 younger sisters.
Yeah. What's it like growing up a Schubert? Tell us the inside track.
There's always something going on.
I am sure of that.
There's always something going on.
I'm sure.
I moved out a couple months ago, so there's less going on in that sense. Still a lot going on in my life.
For you and for them?
Explain that.
Less going on for you, less going on for them.
Less of us going on.
Yes.
So I don't experience that as much as I did.
Yeah.
So
how is it 2 months out of the Schubert household? What's life like that's very different for you now?
I got to pay for a lot of stuff. My dad weaned me into paying stuff when I bought vehicles, so he had me pay for stuff with that. Yeah. And so it's not like I've never paid for stuff before. Sure. But it's just the amount I have to pay for is a lot more. And juggling moving out and starting college and having 2 jobs was pretty busy and still is. Yeah. So
it is.
Yeah.
You're right. You were smack dab in the middle of all that.
Yep.
Indeed. Yep. So what do you do here at First Christian Church?
My official title is Tech Operations.
Yes.
Which I'm still not sure what that means. But
you are very sure what it means.
Okay, whatever.
Don't give the impression that we have no idea what we're doing here.
Okay.
We need to make sure that they clearly all understand.
Well, they can see us right now, so there's that.
This is part of Tech Ops.
Yeah. So if something's being recorded, I'm usually there.
Yeah.
To help with that. I'm usually at one of the campuses on Sunday. I'll bounce back and forth depending on where Wes needs me to help make sure stuff happens.
Yeah. What kind of stuff?
Just usually the more practical stuff. Like I'll help set up an afternoon teardown, which a lot of people do, so that's not a huge thing. Yeah. But like the more practical stuff, and what I enjoyed doing here most is running audio and sound. That's my favorite thing to do.
How long have you been doing audio and sound at First Christian Church?
When we first came here, Miss Kim, old kids minister,
Yes.
she had me run. I don't even know if
By
we're
the way,
using.
Kim, he just called you old. Carry on.
I did not. Okay, for the record, I did not. I don't
I
know.
bet she used to be.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
No, we're tracking.
I don't know if we used Purpose Center back then or whatever we used, but she'd have me run slides for kids worship
I think we might not have at first, but then
as
we
like
ended
a
up.
fifth grader.
Uh-huh.
And then once I got into middle school, I started. Back when we had the old youth room, I'd help Tommy set up stuff with that, and
Yep.
he got me on doing some slides and some lights. And then in the new youth room, someone who used to run sound here taught me how to do stuff, and it just kind of went from there.
Yes, indeed.
So I've been doing it helping with stuff like that for 7-ish years now.
Yeah. It's good stuff. You're a homegrown tech ops nerd.
Yeah, due to nice people here who have helped me along.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Samuel Schubert, would you characterize yourself as a lover of vehicles, cars, trucks, things with motors, stuff that has innards to it that can be taken apart and figured out and put back together?
Yes, no doubt.
I think that was the official title.
Yes.
Things with innards
Yes.
that can be taken apart and put back together.
Yes, but I'm not taking apart any fish or anything because that'd be kind of weird.
Agree. That's
Yeah.
innards I don't want to be a part of.
No.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
sort of like weirded out by that inside?
Yeah, my innards would
body
be
stuff?
coming out if I was trying to take those innards out.
True story. That's gross to me.
Yes.
I'm glad that people do that, obviously.
Yeah.
What made me think of that is you've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Just like you've been doing tech ops nerd stuff around here for a long time. Tell us about the kinds of vehicles you have, your ultimate vehicle.
Oh gosh.
What do your vehicles currently look like? And why am I asking that weird question?
Um.
Explain to the masses of people what in the world I'm talking about.
Well, I've been driving for 3 years now. I've had 6 vehicles.
Which is a lot for 3 years of driving.
Yes. Only one of them I wrecked. So
That's an important clarification.
yes, that is an important clarification. Only 2 I blew up,
Okay.
and the other 2 just never were good from the start.
So half of them no longer exist and work at all, basically.
Yeah, 4 of them I no longer own. The first one that I really got into like modifying stuff on, I still have, just because like how can you throw away your first art project?
Because
you know?
your life is invested in it.
Yeah, and I still like it even though it doesn't run or anything, but it's still great.
Is that like the Mad Max looking one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one with the hood stack and bumper and
What's a hood stack?
an exhaust coming out of the hood stack. Yeah.
What else? What other features are there on your Mad Max vehicle?
I made a bumper and a roof rack for it. And
What's the bumper look like? How big is it?
It's pretty big. You'd notice it if you saw it. Yeah.
It could hurt things.
Oh yeah.
People, trees, buildings.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully keep me from being hurt. But yeah, I pushed vehicles up the hill with it, so it's strong enough. So.
Cool.
Yeah. I enjoy that
Any other
kind of stuff.
features of the vehicle that we would see from 2 blocks away that would look different than most other cars?
No, but you'd hear it from 2 blocks away.
That's a feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though you can only hear it from 99 yards away, because legally like if it's over 100 yards, then you're in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can only hear it from 99 yards away.
So, how do you know that?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it?
It is a good question. Do you have a good answer?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Cool. So speaking of vehicles, we have lots of questions for you.
Oh, good.
Let me give you a rundown of them.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Okay.
And I want you to guess who these are from.
All right.
This is a series of questions from one person.
One person.
One person.
Oh.
Okay? Why do you have so many vehicles? Why are they so loud? What was the last thing sticking out of the hood on your last vehicle? What degree are you working towards in college? What are you going to do with it? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And most importantly, with whom?
Is it Tyson or Tommy?
That's your dad.
That's my dad?
Yes.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
So why do you have so many vehicles?
I really enjoy working on vehicles. I enjoy taking things apart.
Yeah.
I started with little RC cars. I'd take them apart, and then once I got a job, I bought big vehicles instead of kids' toys. I really enjoy doing that. I like working with my hands.
Yeah.
I don't like being still. Yeah, and I just really enjoy doing that.
You have always tinkered with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so your first thing was RC cars, you said?
Yep.
Yep. Do you remember before? When was that?
I was probably like young middle schooler.
Okay. Do you remember before that even?
Yeah, like
Tinkering with
Legos.
Legos.
Legos,
Yeah.
no doubt. Yeah.
So Legos was kind of.
Legos was the starting point. Yeah.
Legos was the gateway drug for you.
Yep. Basically. Yeah.
Okay. What degree are you working toward in college
At
this point?
Either electrical or mechanical engineering.
Okay.
I have not decided yet.
Yeah.
The engineering degree has seemed to have gone well for my members of my family. So, yeah, I figured it'd be a good thing to do, and I'm decently good at math, so I figured I might be able to get it.
And that fits with your wanting to get into the innards of things and figure out how they work and all that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite class right now?
I don't really like any of them. I don't mind doing algebra.
You're in your first semester still now, right?
Yep. I don't mind doing algebra or trig when I understand it. Like being able to sit down with a problem and like work it out, has a great sense of accomplishment with it. Yeah. But those classes, there's a lot to it right now, and I don't enjoy those. One of my classes right now I'm taking is speech, and I didn't think it'd be cool, but the professor's pretty cool. Yeah. And some of the things are quite applicable in public speaking, and so there's some things that I could take and use for any time that I might happen to be speaking at church, which semi happens at youth group. Mm-hmm. I think might have to happen this year as I'm going to be a resident. Mm-hmm. So,
it also applies to communication generally. Mm-hmm. And so it's definitely a more applicable and helpful class than you think going in. Yeah. Yeah, because you think, public speech and communication. It's not like I'm going to be standing in front of people all the time doing that. Yeah. You're going to be with people all the time communicating. Yep. The number of people is sort of not the important factor in that class as much as you think going in. Yeah, I remember feeling the same way about it. So you mentioned being a resident. Yep. Tell us what has been one of the biggest lessons or other things that you're learning from being a resident, seeing how things work behind the scenes, and similarly being on staff in tech ops is a window into all that. What are the kinds of things that you have been learning by being a resident?
One of the things I've learned about being a resident and serving here, and I can tie this in with cars obviously because that's a good thing to do, is that one of the things I enjoy most is drinking coffee, working on cars, or reading. And those are great things. But I've learned here that if you're not giving of yourself and sacrificing of yourself, then all those things don't really matter. Because in the end, I've had 6 cars. I know things come and go, and they will. And even now, I'd still trade all the cars I have to continue to be able to help others out here, because seeing them join them and how it helps them and hopefully leads them to Christ is worth more than that.
Yeah, because you can see how I think you said giving of yourself. Mm-hmm. Because you can see how giving of yourself is something that benefits other people and not just the sense of accomplishment of you doing something on a car, for example. Mm-hmm. Is that what you mean by that contrast? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with engineering and figuring out cars.
Yeah, of course not.
That helps people. Yeah. It's not like that's not important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, it's just in the way I use it. It's usually for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. How do you see that often happening for you here at church as a resident or on staff? What are some of the ways that you see your serving helping people?
Being here on staff, I get to hear a little more about what goes on in people's lives. Nothing terribly specific, but just hearing how what we do here matters. Whether or not we come in with a smile or not matters. even the little things people notice, people pick up on, and it goes a long way. And just hearing that, and one of the things as usually when I serve on Sundays, I serve as producer.
Right.
And so when we do that, I'll lead a little huddle, and I'll always say at the end of it during the prayer, like, let's, Lord, give us the strength to provide a distraction-free environment so that will lead others to Christ. And so, like, seeing that and helping do that is just really encouraging to me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not going to lead something to Christ. That's going to be God's doing. I can just hopefully put them in the spot where they can find God. I'm not wording this well, but I think you get what I'm saying.
You worded it great. Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, okay, I prepare a sermon, and there's a sense in which people would look at that and go, "Ooh, you're doing something that leads them to Christ." Well, we're providing an environment where God's Spirit changes hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tech and putting those things together in ways that help the flow of the service work well. As you said, distraction-free, having a team of people at each campus that does that well. So their hearts and heads are in the game for that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it's super well said. Super well said. So we have more questions. Would you rather own a horse the size of a cat or a cat the size of a mouse? Would you rather own a horse the size of a cat or a cat the size of a mouse? I have no clue who asked this question.
I feel like it would be cool to have
And why?
a cat the size of a mouse.
Yeah.
I have no idea why, just because the other one seemed weird. But I feel like I'd accidentally I'd probably want to sleep in there, right? And I'd roll over one morning, and the next morning I'd just be there dead. So I feel like
Less of a chance of...
it wouldn't have much survival rate if it was like a cat the size of a mouse.
Okay.
I don't think it'd last very long.
Okay, so the horse the size of a cat's what you want?
Yeah. Yeah, just like put little ropes on it, have it pull stuff, maybe pull my push mower or something. Yeah, that'd go well.
That sounds like a good Samuel tinkering thing. That kind of makes me think of Mad Max. Do you have a name for your Mad Max vehicle? That's just what I call it because that's what I think of.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really name vehicles.
You don't?
No. They got to be worthy of a name.
Yep. Well, that one's...
It might be, but I could never find something good for it.
Okay. All right. Was there a moment you could share that prompted you to consider ministry?
Yeah. So here at FCC, there's always been the culture of raising up leaders, and they've made it in a sense easy. You guys have made it in a sense easy for one to practice at that. So like as a student leader, during the summer, I would speak to students maybe once a summer. And so they give you opportunities like that. They give you opportunities to be on stage and transition and stuff in the youth group.
That was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's always a sense where like you can practice it here or you can watch others. And all the staff here, like you can... If you got a question about any of that, like they'll be willing to help you out or talk. So I talked to several staff members about like how to prep talks to students or stuff like that. So there's always like discipleship in that, and there's always good leading in that, and so that made it seem more attainable. Yeah, but
so the culture itself was sort of naturally leading you to consider that as a possibility. In the first place.
Yeah, it made it available to be considered, even if it wasn't something that I thought was like something I want to do.
Right.
And I mean, I still don't know if it's what I want to do, because every time I make a plan, God changes it, it seems. So I try not to make long-term plans, but I went to a church conference, Watermark in Dallas.
Yeah.
And they were just talking about how like tech is a ministry. And I remember I was sitting next to Wes, the tech director, and I either looked over him or texted him. I can't remember. I said, I feel like that's something I could do.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation that night at the hotel, and then a month or so later, you hired me. So
I think it might have been about 2 months.
Okay, 2 months. That makes it better.
Yeah. It's interesting as you say all of that, because I remember you doing a lot of things in tech with youth for a long time, and then doing some things as a volunteer in adult worship services and areas as well, of course. What some people may not know is that you also were in charge of the youth tech and training the youth to do tech.
Mm-hmm.
Was that for 1 year or 2 years?
It's probably been closer to 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started doing some tech. You started training some others to do some tech.
Mm-hmm.
You were in charge of the production of the whole night for youth
Yeah.
for 2 years, teaching others to do tech. And now you are what we call producer, which is at one campus making the services happen with, obviously, a team of people
Mm-hmm.
who are doing it.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing you do that all along in those years. And as you said, that made the possibility of thinking about that as something that God may want you to do
Yeah.
as a viable option for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out to this conference and they say, tech's a ministry.
Yeah.
Tech is worship.
Yeah.
It's part of how you use your gifts and steward them for the sake of the glory of God in that context.
Yeah.
That, what we just said, and you may not end up being tech with your life in a ministry setting like this.
Mm-hmm.
You'll likely be doing something like that or serving in some ways in some church, wherever you end up, no matter what.
Hopefully.
I would predict.
Yeah.
But you may end up being an engineer of some type, eventually vocationally. When the experience like you've had growing up is a part of your growing up experience in serving and in worship, it changes how you think about everything.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been? How has serving at church in those ways for you been something that's helped you see the world differently or your life differently in general terms?
I'm
not looking for a specific answer other than just how has it been helpful for you beyond just thinking about your serving in tech.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a growth for me. It's definitely helped my walk with Christ. Because I'm usually like a problem solver, right? And so a lot of times I'll tend to want to fix the problem, at the expense of sometimes even others. And so one of the things that staff say here is people over policy. Is that's something I struggle with, because like you get in the groove, it's Sunday morning, something happens, like, all right, let's fix this problem quick. We got to fix it no matter what.
Yeah.
And so like I go into problem solving mode and like everything else shuts out, fixing the problem.
Right.
And so working through tech has helped me realize that it's still a ministry. I'm still ministering to the people around me. I'm still ministering to the people that are serving under me or serving with me.
That's right.
It feels hard to say serving under me on a Sunday, just because a lot of the people I work with are still smarter than me and more knowledgeable than me.
Some of them are twice as old as you.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, on Wednesdays it's definitely feels different because everyone there is younger than me.
Yeah.
I think they look up to me, and so it's just like I have responsibility for these people, and what I say is going to affect them. What I do is going to affect them, and
that's so good.
It's really shown me like how much like everything I do matters.
And the people are a piece of all that, not just fixing the thing or the mechanical pieces of it.
Yeah, and so sometimes you got to let it fail, which is hard for me because I want it to be perfect. I want to get this done, get it right, and sometimes you got to like let it fail a little bit so the people under you can grow and learn and do better next time without you. Because I'm training a replacement for me, basically.
Yeah, preach.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yes, that deserves one of those.
Yeah.
We need to implement that in our coffee convos. Good moments of gold there.
Yeah. But it's definitely been hard.
What do you mean? What's been hard?
Well, I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
One of the questions I think you usually ask is like when people are thinker or feeler. I don't know. I feel like I'm a thinker, but sometimes I think like a feeler.
Yeah.
So I don't know which I am, but I'm usually an emotional person, so maybe I'm a feeler. But most Sundays, like if you look back at me, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'll probably like shed a few tears. And so like
Bring
worship,
it on.
yeah,
Bring on
worship,
the flow.
worship is just, it's something like I really enjoy being a part of.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to, I don't know how this is related to the question. Honestly, I forgot the question, but I'm going to keep talking. But I guess this relates to what I've learned in working in tech. But
No, it's great.
one of the things I've learned is that like you still got to sacrifice of yourself. I think I've already said that, but because like I'd love to be in worship and just like cry in worship all the time. Like one or two of the songs we sing, like every time I could cry. But like sacrificing of yourself so that others can experience God is something like I've really learned, because like it's not about me. It's not about the car zone. It's not about the stuff I do. It's not about me. And so that's like working here and serving here has definitely taught me that. It's taught me just how important people are, because like it's easy to forget about people.
Yeah.
It sounds callous and rude, but like I'm so busy that it's easy to forget about people.
Well, and what you just said there is so helpful, because part of what we learn in serving, and for us at First Christian, we've made a big deal of serving for a lot of time, for a long time, for years and years.
Yep.
Part of what you just said is so important, because when we serve like that, we realize we're doing it for the sake, as you said before, of creating a distraction-free environment so that the congregation can focus on Jesus, so they can worship. When we sacrifice of ourselves in service, that's part of how we learn about what Jesus has done to sacrifice for us to have a relationship with him, right? Like it's a personal experience of less of me, more of him, in a way that he did so that we can have a relationship with the Father. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Anything else from tech and what you've learned and being a resident? And other moments that you have perhaps wept in worship of the Lord as you listen to my sermons. I mean, you can share those too.
Well, All I Have Is Christ, great song. I'll cry during that most times.
I like that one too.
But yeah, no, that's about it for tech stuff.
You're like,
yeah,
no, I'm not going to bite on that at all, Scott.
Yeah, we can change the subject now.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. So, how did you get involved in your morning Bible study?
In my morning Bible study, what morning Bible study are we referring to?
The one that you do and have done with a particular mentor of late recently in the morning.
Oh, well, actually, I haven't gone to that one in a while. But I did get involved with it because my mentor.
Yes.
He invited me to it, and it's been really good when I go to it. The guy that leads it, I really respect, and he incorporates a lot of Hebrew and Greek stuff into it, which I really like. I could totally nerd out to the Bible. I love studying the Bible. I wish I loved studying school as much as I love studying the Bible, because then school would be great. But I could sit down all day if I had the time and just study the Bible. I love doing it.
And just nerd out?
Yeah.
What have you learned? Tell us a Hebrew, Greek nugget or something about a word or a passage or a concept that's something that you learned in that Bible study.
Recently we went through Ecclesiastes.
Okay.
The word hevel. It's all just mist, wisp, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. It's dust. It's mist. It's vapor.
Yeah. The beginning of Ecclesiastes, Solomon gets all philosophical. I doubt that's what you call it, but
it's all vanity.
It's all vanity. It's all hevel,
right.
And it's all just smoke and mirrors, and yeah.
What does he mean by that? There, do you think? In ways that apply to.
I feel like he's thinking of all the stuff he has when he says that.
Okay.
At least that's what I feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know Solomon, richest man on earth, had
right.
so many of everything.
Right.
And yet here he is saying it's all smoke and mirrors. And so you think about that, and I can think, man, I could keep working. I could go work somewhere else, make more money, and have more cars. I mean, what more could you want? Like more cars, modify more, go on trips, but in the end, it's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's all vanity, it's all hevel. If what I'm doing isn't having lasting impact.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is one of the better things I'm doing with my life if it's affecting other people and changing other people. Because the other things don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't plan a lot for the future. I haven't of late just because I've been busy and not really had time to think a lot.
Well, you're still in that transition early on of, as we talked about earlier, with your family.
Yeah.
And you're only really a few months out of that.
Yeah, just a couple really.
Yeah. That transition takes a bit to get used to and understand,
Mm-hmm.
where you're headed and what God's called you to,
Mm-hmm.
and what am I really good at and what am I not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so right now I just feel like this is the best thing I could be doing with my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's where God's called me. I have no idea where He's going to call me in the future.
Yeah.
So, I can make plans. I've made many over
Sure.
the years, and most of them haven't panned out, and most of them, for the best, haven't panned out.
What, if you look back a few years ago, what would have been things that you said were your plans that might not be as much now?
I'd be in different relationships probably with some friends that I would have thought would have lasted or wouldn't have lasted. I'd probably be in a different job. I probably think I was still working construction for a while. I probably would have never thought I'd be working at a church. No, I would never have thought that.
Yeah. Most folks who end up working at a church say something like that.
Yeah.
I never would have thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people your age-ish, a little bit more, a little bit less, who are considering what to do with their lives, and ministry may not be on their radar? What advice would you give to somebody who, let me rephrase some of that. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking maybe ministry is a possibility?
I'd say yes, it is a possibility. Just because ministry is ministry, no matter whether you're on staff at a church or just at home.
True.
Being kind to your family for the first time that day or week.
That's ministry.
Yeah, so everything's ministry. It depends on, it's still ministry, whatever the context you happen to be in.
So you're saying the advice there is reframe your thinking about what counts and doesn't count as ministry?
Yeah.
Okay.
And be more intentional. Don't let life happen to you.
True story.
Yeah, be more intentional and don't just let life happen to you. And there's a sense like allow God to work through you, but that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
But don't just act without thinking. Sit down, ponder, think, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to be in ministry? Is it because I want to look cool to my friends? Is it because I want to help people find and follow Jesus? See what I did there? That's good.
That's nice. Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, just sit down and think why would I want to be in ministry? Why wouldn't I? What's the goal? Yeah, I feel like so many people nowadays don't think. They don't think why. That's one of the most important questions you can sit down and think about, in my opinion, is just why this, why that, why do I believe in God, why don't I?
Yeah.
Why am I sitting here drinking coffee? Why am I not?
Because coffee is amazing. Next question.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so back to the intentionality thing. I know you. I know your life some. I don't know all about you, but I know you pretty well. What are some things that for you have been stories of letting life happen to you, or reacting to it, or not being intentional, that are why you now say at, what are you, 19?
19.
You're 19?
Yeah.
What are some things in your life and past? Tell us some things that fill out that idea of why you now say, my advice is be more intentional.
One of the reasons why, because I have a good mentor who's pretty smart and he listens to God quite a bit, and you can tell that when you hang around him, and he's shared that with me, and as I've started to be more intentional, I can tell the huge difference.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
tell us how you've learned through your own story why being intentional is important and helpful.
Because if you're not intentional, then you'll be swept along with what the world wants. If you're not intentional, then you can just, the world's got a river for you to just float down the rest of your life if you want. And if you're not intentional, that's where you're going to go.
True story.
It's just like a lazy river at one of them water parks. You'll just keep floating unless you're intentional and start walking back against the current.
Yeah.
And so that's the easy path.
Yeah.
It's definitely really easy to not be intentional.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
Absolutely.
And,
that's the normal drift, like
yeah.
you say.
Yeah.
That's the natural drift of the human heart.
Yeah. And just going into high school, any secular high school, it's so easy to not be intentional, just to only think about, okay, I got this deadline, I got this deadline, I got this deadline, and not to think about like why you're doing it, or why are you in this place, or why aren't you ministering to the people around you. And so if you're not intentional, you're not going to be thinking about those things.
Yeah.
And I did a bad job of that in high school, so that's why I think about that now.
You did a bad job of that in high school.
Yeah, because really all I was focused on was like work and not talking to anyone. I'm pretty introverted.
Yeah.
So.
Work and not talking. I was
Yeah.
focused on not talking.
Yeah, I was pretty focused. I did a great job of 3 years. I mean, I got pretty good at it.
And here you are in Coffee Convos,
Yeah, this is fun.
in front of everybody.
Yeah, in front of the throngs of dozens.
Throngs of dozens, at least. Two. Two is a multiple.
At least 2. My parents count for 2. So.
Tell us about Regen.
Oh.
What is Regen, and how has it been helpful for you?
It's been real helpful. I'm sure everyone says that goes into it, but it has. It's something everyone should go to. No matter where you're at, no matter if you think you're the perfect Christian. If you think you're the perfect Christian, you should definitely go to. But one of the best things I learned from it, and it just goes along with what I've learned in conversations with my mentor, is that just thinking why, and sitting down and deeply processing like why I want to do this sin. Why do I enjoy doing this sin?
Mm.
Why am I falling into this sin at this time of day
Mm-hmm.
or in this context? And so learning those has helped me gain some victory over the struggles I deal with.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely one of the best takeaways from that.
Yeah.
And also finding how good confession is, how freeing it is to be in a group of men that you... Because like in the program, you'll have a large group. You'll hear watch a video from the people who founded Regen, or listen to a talk from one of the staff members at church or something like that. And then you'll go to your small groups and you'll talk about your life. You'll work through bookwork, and they can help keep you accountable or ask you like how you've been doing with your struggle this week. And that's definitely one of the best things. I'm working on my commencement now, so my group is over. I'm not going there every Monday.
Right.
And so that's something I've had to like seek out with friends of mine, is like accountability, and that is so helpful to continue to have.
Yes.
And so learning to have accountability.
People with whom you are regularly confessing.
Yep, having
And
confession.
sharing those struggles.
Yeah. And just thinking why. Just thinking why a lot. Why am I wanting to do this sin? Why am I falling into this?
I think you've just said it at 19, with lots of people throughout their Christian lives hardly say regularly to themselves or ask and run through the inventory of their lives and the stuff with which they struggle, or pain and suffering or abuse that they have received, and think, why am I responding this way to what I'm experiencing? Or why am I seeking out this sin? Or what is it about this time of, like you said, this time of day? Or how am I feeling that results in this thing? And how did I get there? Did I let myself get there by being in a particular situation? Was I with someone in particular? How can I avoid that next time, or do better with that conversation or that person next time, so that it doesn't lead to that feeling that leads to that sin? That kind of reflection is not normal. But I think what you just said there is so helpful. That's why Regen is such an important piece of learning to continue to grow spiritually for so many.
Yeah, because people just don't think about why they think or why they do stuff. They just like let life happen to them, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I can only thank God for putting me in the context I'm in. I can't imagine what I'd be like if I hadn't come to this church or met the people I have here. I mean, bragging on everyone here, really, but
Well,
for real.
God puts us with people to help us become who He called and created us to be. And, yeah, we're glad to be a part of that story. So we like to ask everybody toward the end of our time together a few similar questions like, what's a difficult challenge in life you've had to overcome? And looking back, how has it made you stronger, you think, for the future? A difficult challenge in life you've had to overcome. And then looking back, how has God used it to make you stronger for the future?
That's a good question. How deep and personal am I getting here? Okay, cool.
Bring it on.
One of the challenges was transitioning from a small Christian school that I went to for elementary and middle school that only had like 12 people per grade and only had one female in it, and realizing as I moved out in the world, oh hey, there's females.
There are females.
Yeah, there are. It's quite scary.
They're wonderful. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're scary.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so I've got a friend. I had a friend, and yeah, like one of the hardest things. I mean, it's all self-inflicted problems I had to work myself out of because I walked into them. But learning how to not put myself into relationships with females or friends, not even like it was never physical or anything like that, or like not even like girlfriend, boyfriend. It wasn't any of that. Just like putting myself emotionally into the relationship and learning like don't put stock in worldly relationships with people. I mean, it's okay to put some in. Like it's okay to trust people. I'm not saying don't trust people. But
God made us for a relationship. Yeah. You're not saying you're not supposed to have a relationship with people of the opposite sex.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I put too much. I put weight on her that I should have put on God. And
too much too early.
Yeah.
You've just named the main problem with most relationships until they have Christ-centeredness and are mature. Yeah. Whether it's young in middle school or coming out of elementary school and middle school or much older.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly now because I obviously don't. I don't know who does. I'm sure there are people who do. But learning that putting weight on people that only belongs on God's shoulders, or expecting stuff of them that's only you can get from God, is just not healthy. It's not good, and it sets a pattern for your life of codependency.
It's good.
So learning that and still trying to get myself out of that has been one of the hardest struggles in my life.
Yeah. How do you see that that's something that moving forward is going to be helpful for you? And not just the difficulty of the struggle of it, but the lesson.
Well, I mean, I'm glad I learned the lesson. I think it will definitely help me in any future relationships that may or may not have. I don't know how to specifically answer that. I just know it'd be helpful. Yeah. I'd have to think about that a lot.
Well, You said what I was thinking, which is, it's a filter for thinking about moving forward.
Yeah. And I still struggle with that. Like, wanting to vent or go to people in my times of struggle instead of going to God. Like, my first thought is usually like, okay, let's go talk to this person about it. I'm like, why am I not on my knees and praying? Why am I not in my Bible? Because I struggle with that still. Going to God in the moments of struggle instead of going to people. Yeah. So
that's good. A couple other questions here. What are you, and it may tie in with some things you've just said, but what is God currently teaching you?
He's teaching me that I work a lot. I guess we'll put that as the start of that answer. I work a lot, and I work a lot because it's, well, one, I enjoy working, but it's almost too like, I don't know how to phrase this well. But he's teaching me that I can't work enough to fix everything, or I can't be enough, or there's not enough time in the day, there's not energy in me to work so hard that I don't have time to think. Because, like, I like thinking, you know? Like, I like sitting down thinking, okay, why did I do this? Like, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when you do that, you start realizing, man, I kind of messed up, didn't I? When you start thinking, you realize, man, I really screwed up today. And so you can't work enough to not think, is what I've learned. And so sometimes I'll try to drown my thoughts and, like, just working and working and working and doing this and doing that. And at the end of the day, like, you can't, I can't be enough for myself. I especially can't be enough for other people. And so learning that, continuing to learn that as I work a lot, and realizing, like, just how much I need God. Like, I often get so busy that I'll forget that, like, hey, I need God.
So, are you saying one thing you're learning is that you cannot work yourself into not still needing to reflect and think? Or are you saying...
I can't work so much that I, like, can run away from problems, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when you're thinking about it, you're aware of the issues, problems, things, sins, struggles in the world, frustrations in life, etc.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yep.
You can't work yourself out of that internal struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's helped you. I feel similarly about how my body and hands and, like, I'm doing things a lot.
Yeah.
I've got workaholic problems and people pleasing things, and
and so
me
too.
I work a lot, and there are reasons why I work a lot, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm not being idle in some ways that have led me into sin in the past.
Yeah.
But no matter how much you work, it's not going to undo some things that are internal issues that I should be working on.
Yeah, you should be processing.
It should be, yes, exactly. Should be processing, and working enough.
It's never enough.
To avoid that, it's not going to happen, and that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because I mean, it's easy for me to work so much. Because, I mean, I work 6-ish hours a week. I'm in college, 16 credit hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're in that cycle of life where it's like 2 jobs, full-time student,
5 hours of sleep.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, sarcasm. You may not be able to sense it through the camera, but it's evident in the room.
Thank you for naming it for those who may be unaware.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, my dry sarcasm is hard to pick up on sometimes.
It is a little bit.
Yeah,
yes.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so last question that we typically ask is, what are you excited or encouraged about?
I'm excited that I'm in a new phase of life. It's hard, it's stressful, but it's exciting. Yes, I'm excited to see where hopefully God will continue to lead me, and that hopefully I'll continue to listen to His call for me. I'm hopeful that and happy that He hasn't let me fall yet. He hasn't let me, like, seriously screw up yet, and so I hope that He will continue to keep me close enough that He keeps me under His wings, you know. Wings, like He's an angel or whatever.
It's a Bible picture.
Yeah, like the seraphim or whatever on the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah,
that's definitely one of a few times like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just hopeful and happy and feel blessed that God has put me where He's put me, in the context there's so many people around me that mentored me. Yeah. I mean, like, all through high school, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was like the quiet kid who didn't, like, was just focused on work and school.
Yeah, work and focused on not saying or
not talking.
Not talking.
But one of the things I've come to realize, like, all my good friends are adults. Except for maybe 2 or 3. But most of my good friends are adults, and that's definitely beneficial in my phase of life. Because most people my age are stupid. No offense to everyone my age. but a little bit of offense because most people my age are stupid.
That's one of our takeaways today.
Yeah, we'll put that in the golden section of Samuel's Coffee Convos. But yeah, like having people older than me, like I feel so blessed to have so many wise mentors around me.
Yeah.
And my family supporting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, it shows you're articulate, you're thoughtful, you put together a sentence that makes sense, that fits with the things that are being asked, etc. This whole interview, in ways that show all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about inputs and outputs. I mean, if I go to Taco Bell, you know it's going to be my output. If I hang around wise people, you know it's going to be my output.
Okay, so I think it's time to end our interview. Thanks for that, Samuel Schubert.
You're welcome.
Yes, indeed. It's been good. Thanks for ending on that gold.
Yeah.
But it is true.
Yep.
I don't go to Toxic Bell.
Oh no, you
Taco
can't.
Hell.
Yeah.
Often. Yeah. But I'm sure it's wonderful. Go to Taco Bell, everybody.
Yeah, it's so good.
Join us next time for Coffee Convos. Thanks for joining us.